Israel. This is Nakabi Israel. Some know me as the White Gibson Jr. Doesn't matter. Call me either or. I'm not hiding from anything. But this video is going to be about the timeline and the year that we're in. I watched a video about with Kent Hovind, the scientist. He's a great scientist, but he believes in the scriptures too. I used to follow Bill Nye, the science guy, until he fell off and started getting into atheism. Then I ran into Kent Hovind, who was a biblical Christian, and he still was scientific too. And he was saying that from today all the way back to Noah's time was 4,400 years. But I have to correct him on that. And I know I'm not a big old scientist or nothing like that. It's just that I just still have to correct him on that because he's wrong. But we're going to go into that. What year are we in? And people who are in the Torah, like meaning Hebrew Israelites, people that's really in this, understand that what I'm going into is an important thing to go into, just as important as, living right. People that do preaching about, stop sinning type stuff. Yes, that's definitely important. Get your ruach right. But this is equally important, as well, regarding knowing how to reach people and information and stuff like that, just being up to speed, So I did the board in Hebrew because this is for Hebrew Israelites. Anybody can watch it though if you're interested. Hope I don't lose you or anything, but this is for Hebrew Israelites. Whether you're a Moré or not a Moré, it's still good information, and you can reference it and all of that type of stuff. But I want to start first with the years, how many years, and this, that, and the third, and how do we measure time? Okay, we know that in 2 Peter that it says that 1 is 1,000. I'm paraphrasing. 1 is 1,000, meaning 1,000 of our years is like 1 day to the Most High. And the thing is, the word years is yomim as well as the word day is yom. So why is it using the same word there? That's because yom means year and day. So that's the masculine Hebrew word for year and day. But Shana, when you say Rosh Hashanah or, Happy New Year or anything like that, you say Shana, that's the feminine form, as in I just dealing with the earth and how the sun and the moon rotate and everything, how we calculate time. That's Shana. But, regarding our time, between our and the Most High's time, we use Yom. That's why it means both year and day, but more preferably millennium, because there was no such thing as the word millennium, back then. So you would say a Yom. Every millennium or every Yom, that's when that's when there's actually a new day to the Most High, So that's how we would reference it. But now we have English words like millennium, which isn't in the Bible at all. But you can still understand by 2 Peter that a day is 1,000 and 1,000 is millennium. So that's where that gets, terms and stuff. But that's another thing about the rapture thing. I don't believe in a doctrine, but the word itself, it never used to exist. No English used to exist. But now that English exists, give us references and, definitions to other things or concepts that's in the scripture. So I don't believe in a doctrine of the rapture, but I do believe that there's a such thing as the rapture happening to right living men in the Torah. I ain't talking about the New Testament. I can go in the New Testament and I can go into the Torah, the Brit Hadasha and the Torah, to actually bring out people that raptured or got taken up. That's what rapture means, to be taken away or caught away. Enoch was the first one. He was walking with God, and he was not, for God took him. He walked with Elohim, the Kadosh Elohim, and he was not, for Elohim took him. The Kadosh Elohim took him. Not fallen Elohim, the Kadosh Elohim took him. So, all the power is the same, is what we must keep in mind. But this video is not about that. So let me get off of that and get back on this. Now, the next thing I want to get into, now that you know the time, is 2nd Esdras, which is an Apocrypha. And the Apocrypha, let me back up and grab it because I got to come out of it anyway. The Apocrypha, which is this Authorized King James Version. The reason why I say Authorized King James Version and you never see it in your scriptures, and you're like, what the word is that? If you don't know what it is, it's because they took it out. In the 1611 King James, which is the first recorded King James, with the King James stamp on it, and why he translated and all that in the introduction and all of that, that has the Apocrypha in it. and all the books that come with the Apocrypha is in it too. So when you go into it, you'll see something like Bell and the Dragon and stuff like that. Little 2 chapters, or like Daniel and the Lion's Den. That was Bell and the Dragon. More information about how Daniel ended up in the Lion's Den, what happened. The prophet Habakkuk that we know that's in the Torah, the Tanakh, the prophets. He got a small book, Habakkuk. You can read it. That you call Old Testament. He was in the Tanakh, and he wrote an actual book, and he was one of the ones that had to help Daniel in the Lion's Den some kind of way. It goes into it. It was a spiritual thing that happened. He got raptured in a way, but he got taken from his place and teleported to the Daniel's Lion's Den, and gave him some the food that he was cooking, and then the Melech teleported him back out, and things like that that's in there. Also, 6 chapters of Esther is missing. If you go online and look up Apocrypha, it'll say additions to Esther, but it's not the authorized joint. So the authorized one will say the rest of Esther, and that's a big difference. If you say additions, you're thinking that somebody added these 6 chapters to Esther, rather than these are the rest of the chapters that they took out in Esther. And actually, the Apocrypha was taken out of the original canon because Protestants and Catholics thought that it was wrong. Who are they? They're not the original people of the writings. They're just some brand new people, like Catholics, Romans, and Greeks. They have nothing to do with the Torah. That's all Hebrew. That's Hebraic. Moses wrote the Torah. He was a Hebrew Israelite. It has nothing to do with Catholics and Protestants and Greeks, and all of that. So them changing stuff is messing us up. So basically, I wanted to get into the point of 2nd Esdras, which I'll get into later in the video. Esdras 14:10-12 talks about Esdras going into the timeline. He said that the word is divided into 12 parts, which would be more accurately 14 parts. Forgive me. So, but he just didn't include the Sabbath Millennium because that doesn't count as a Labor Day. Excuse me one second. So the Sabbath Millennium does not count as a timeline, but it still counts as in time itself, as to calculate what year and stuff we're in and time afterwards. But he said 12 because he just only added 6 days of labor. The 7th millennium, things happen, and then the 6 days again, and then things happen in the 7th millennium, which is why the word Sabbath means destruction, consumption, extermination, as well as rest. So, and that's also give you a clue about what happened with the flood, Noah in the ark and the deluge. It happened in the Sabbath millennium, and we're going to go into that too. All right, so that's what Esdras said, and to briefly go into it, he said, the world, now, forgive me, I'm one-handed here, I don't have a camera person, so I got to shake the camera around and pick stuff up and move here and there. So first, he said the world is divided into 12 parts, and we don't really need me to write it here, but just for the sake of it, right here. So he said the world is divided into 12 parts. And since it doesn't say how many, times the world is divided into, like 3, 4, it doesn't say, because 3 can go in, 4 can go into 12 and all that, 3 can go into 12, 2 can go into 12, 6 can go into 12. So it's a lot of numbers under 12, even 12 it can go into it, a couple of times before you get to 12. So since there's no number, you go with the lowest, which is 2, and so you get 6, which is accurate. 6 days of labor. And the 7th is a rest day. Remember the Sabbath. That's actually in the 10 Commandments, Exodus 20. Read that. The 4th commandment. You know what I'm saying? He's made the 7th day, remember the Sabbath day to keep it set apart to undefilement. So in 6 days, he created the heavens and the earth. In 6,000 years, as we went back to Peter, 1 day is 1,000. That's what he was saying at. In 6,000 years, he created the heaven and the earth and everything that's in it, and then set Adam in it. The 7th day was a rest day. You don't as a year or a millennium that you don't really count into the time. But to keep accurate on time, yes, we count it. Okay, so basically, I would more so prefer this. I would more so say this. 14, which is 7. So if you include the millennium, it's a rest day, but it's still included on the calendar as a day. So we're going to still include that as time. So I'm not knocking Esdras, for what he said about, the word is divided into 12 parts, because he's right, But it said, when he said that, he said the word is divided into 12 parts. 10 parts are gone already, and a half. So if 10 parts are gone, we in the 11th now, and then a half of a part. So that means 500. So 10 parts, there was no word for millennium. You just said part. 10 parts are gone already, meaning 10,000 years are gone. We're in the 11th and a half of a part, which is 500 years. So he was living around the time 11,500, the same time the Messiah was on the scene, where the Roman Empire was coming through. And we're going to prove that later on too. So let's get started for real. And Most High be with me, Yahweh Baruch me, to get this forward to you in an appropriate way, so that you understand it, no confusion and everything. Alright, so first thing off, we know that he created, if you look at Bereshit or Genesis, 6 days, Adam is on the scene. Everything else was created all over here. But in the 6th day, or the 6th millennium, Adam exists, or Adam breathes. Meaning he's on the scene. He's finally alive. He's animated now. He's here. Okay, and that's in. I had made a mistake here. I said I left Yashar. I meant to say I left Sefer, which means scroll or book. I left Sefer, Adam and Chava, 3 through 5. Okay, and I'm gonna read that. What it says. I'm gonna keep it here so that you can know where I'm reading from if you're skipping the video and stuff like that. So it says this: and all who followed the Master Yahweh died in those days. Sorry, wrong one. Excuse me. Adam and Chava, chapter 3. It said, when Adam heard these words from Elohim, the Kadosh Elohim, and the great 5 Yomim and a half, he did not understand the meaning of them. So the word of Yahweh, which is the Messiah, before he was the Messiah on the scene, he came to Adam in the cool of the day all the time. And we know that. Scripture say that he would come visit them in the cool of the day. So basically that's the Messiah. So he comes down to Adam and he talks to him and tells him that talks to him about the great 5.5 days. So the word day is Yomim, or Yom there, Yomim, the great 5.5 Yomim. So Adam didn't understand what he was saying, 5.5 days. So the next verse says, so Adam was thinking that there would be 5 days and a half for him to the end of the world. Then Kadosh Elohim explained to him that these were 5,500 Yomim. Same word, Yomim, days, years. So the word is interchangeable, day and year. And how one would then come and save him and his descendants. Basically, the Messiah, before he was called the Messiah, he's the word of Yahweh. Revelations 19:13 tells you we call him the word of Elohim, or Debar Elohim, or Debar Yahweh. That's what he is called. His name we won't know until we die. We just know what he's called. What he came to do is Yahusha. That's what he came to do. So his actual name we don't know yet. So Yahweh Debar, or Debar, however you want to pronounce it, came to Adam and told him that in 5,500 years, I'm going to come and save you and your descendants. That's what he said. And that's here, 5,500. And then the next one, and that 5,000 basically goes here. So I did a little timeline. I left, 5,500. So let's count 5,500. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in between, 5,500. And that's when the Messiah was on the scene. I left. 5,500. I left. That's the timeline here. 5,500. Okay. So that's accurate. So what he said, 5,500 years, I'm going to come and save you and your descendants. What did he do? Come, sacrifice himself, died, resurrected, and he became the bosom. Just like Abraham was the bosom in Luke 16:22, which is Luke 16:22. Yes, it says that Lazarus went into Abraham's bosom, but that's accurate anyway, because anybody that was under the covenant that was promised to Abraham, that's where the bosom goes. And it also is accurate to how the head of every man is the Messiah, and the head of the woman is the man, meaning while women get covered, and how women were being taken over by angels and stuff, and this, that, and the third. So that matters as well as the Messiah, what he said, and all these things like that. That is just, that's accurate. So in 5,500 years he came on the scene. did what he was supposed to do. He gave up the ones that came on first fruits. That's what the feasts are about. The Feast of Prophecies too. So he died pretty much around Pesach, unleavened bread, rose again on the first day of the week, which is Sunday. Rose again on the first day when the sun is coming up. So the first day, so Miriam came to the temple, the sepulchre, and he goes and take the first fruits up, which was promised. When he said, I will come save you and your seed, you and your descendants. That's what he did. On first fruits, he went up to the Father. That's why at one point he told Miriam, don't touch me, for I have not yet ascended to my Father. It's not time yet. It's not first fruits yet. Don't touch me. So she was like, oh, okay. When she was like, oh, Rabboni, don't touch me yet, Miriam, I have not yet ascended to my Father. So that sense, that's what he was saying. But then in the other sense, he went to Thomas and them when he came into the room when he was hiding out. They was like, oh, you're alive. And they was like, oh, but they told Thomas he was doubting and everything. And then Thomas, when he came in, when Thomas was there, he was like, oh, put your finger here in the hole, Thomas. Put your finger here and see what happened to me. So he wanted to touch wanted to see for himself, and that's what he did. He said, come, touch here, touch here. So now you see, at one point, he's telling Miriam not to touch him, and then another point, he's telling Thomas he can touch him. That's because it wasn't yet first fruits yet, and in first fruits he had to take up the descendants of Adam, and Adam himself to the Father, to the Bayit of the Father, which is Yehukanan 15. Fret not, believe in the Father, believe also in me. I go and prepare a place, and if I go and prepare a place, in my Father's house there are many rooms. If not, I would have said so. I go and prepare a place for you. This, that, and the third, and I will come back to receive you to myself, that where I am you may be also. So he'll come and reign for 1,000, but then after that, it may look like we're not going anywhere, but the Father coming, that is us going to him, and him coming to us. It's the same thing. He's coming to dwell with men, and we're coming to dwell with him. Same difference. So we'll be dwelling in the bosom of the Father, or the light of the Father, which is why there will be no shadow of turning. So whether we're on this planet or not, we'll still be in the bosom of the Father, regardless. And he'll have places prepared for us, which is New Jerusalem, that will descend as well. I don't know if it'll touch ground or not, but because it's celestial and it's pure, and the ground is tainted. But I do know that it will descend, and I know that this earth will be purged in some kind of way. It will be destroyed, just like as before he said, "Let there be light" in Genesis. The earth was destroyed already, and it was spread out everywhere. Glaciers, and ice, and he had to melt. When he said, "Let there be light," he melted the material and reformed it back into a ball. That's what happened. So it might happen that way again, and he might reform it. But who knows? It's a lot of time might be happening between these things. We just giving tidbits like he's going to reign for 1,000. That's a long time to be reigning. So a lot of stuff is going to be happening within the 1,000-year reign. And then when the devil comes on the scene, Armageddon type stuff, a lot is going to be happening then. And in the book Ascension of Isaiah, Ascension of Yashayahu, after the reign is over, we're not going to be here. The planet is prepared to be destroyed. And that's what I believe. But you can check me out on that. But there is a whole lot more after the 1,000-year reign in Revelation. So that's why I believe that the book don't end there. 1,000-year reign, and that's the end. No, there's some more stuff that's got to happen. So basically that is 5,500 years. Now moving on, Bet. Now Bet is number 2. These Hebrew characters also stand for numbers. So Bet is number 2. And why I got the number 7,000 here? 7,000 years. And the reason why is because I'm going to go into a scripture reference to let you know that generation is the same as a century, 100 years. So that's what a generation is. A generation is the same as a century, and we all know a century is 100. But here in Bet, you can get up on it. This one right here. That one right there is Gimel. This one right here is Bet, which is 2. Okay, which is this circle right here, and not that one. This circle. Following the line, it breaks into 2 different lines. So this is what we're going to deal with. Noachim Yomim. Noachim Ma'im, meaning the waters of Noach, or the deluge of Noach, the flood of Noach. It's not Noah, it's Noach, but with the Cha in there. Yeah, it sounds funny, but yeah, it's that. Chanakh, chapter 10, we'll be dealing with. And I'll just have you go and reference that for yourself, and you can read 4 through 5. But Chanakh 10, verse 12, I'm going to read. and that is going to confirm time as well. All right, so back up some, and you'll know why I got 7,000 here. All right, so I'll put it here, and it says this. Enoch or Hanak chapter 10 verse 12 says, the fallen will be bound in valleys of the earth for 70 generations. Okay, that's what it says. Okay, the fallen, meaning the fallen angels that came down and had giants with the women, was marrying them and stuff like that. We know the story. They came down and did all that. So they will be bound in valleys, meaning in deserts and valleys and stuff. Like in the desert, one desert named Dudel, Raphael bound Azazel or Azazel. And that is verse 4 through 5, chapter 10. But verse 12 talks about they were all of them. It was 10 of them, so 10 over 20s, which is 200, 2,000? Oh, excuse me, 10 over 20. 200, forgive me. So that's 200. So 10 chiefs and 200 fallen angels all together coming to this planet to try to supposedly help mankind stop idol worshiping, but ended up being worshipped themselves, because we're puny. I mean, we just nothing but meat and flesh. All they got to do is throw a voice inside of a statue that you worshiping, and, you'll start to believe in the statue as if the statue was talking and stuff. And if they show you a little sign or something from the heavens, come out there, shine a bright light, oh my goodness, or if they come down on the scene looking like a little green men with the big eyes and stuff, all they got to do is do small little things, and then you just jumping for hills. But then that's how they get you to worship them and get scared of them. But if you see them all the time and had information and knew what they were about and stuff like that, you wouldn't be scared. You'd understand that they're just servants like us. It's just that they have more power than us, so that they can take advantage of that and have you worship them. And that's what was happening in Noah's day. So they had Raphael came to bound Azazel, which was the most critical one. He was the one that we pretty much consider Satan, the devil, because he taught Cain how to kill his brother, and he taught Cain how to make weapons and of warfare, how to steal, how to set up barriers, like, oh, don't come on my land, when it never used to be that. We just walking on the land. He taught spoiling, how to steal. He even taught money, the value of money. So money started with Cain. That's where money started from. He taught him weights and talents. So that Azazel taught him that, not the Most High. Azazel taught Cain money. Weights and talents is what it used to be called, not money. It's weights and talents. So you take a gold and you weigh it and this, that, and third. You measured it by the weight and stuff, which is how you do real gold today. You measure it by the weight. But that's what he did. So gold and stuff that had value, but not monetary value, ended up having monetary value through Cain, learning from Azazel. So Raphael bound Azazel because he's the one considered the real Satan, the one that taught what we into today, the massive violence and stuff that we in. But the other ones, they were teaching like roots, witchcraft, and women how to be seductive and how to how to pose and sit and stand in positions, how to dress to seduce men, and all of that stuff they taught women how to do. And people were powerful and stuff like that. They can have super powerful strength and lift up stuff that's real big, like ants. That's what they were doing when they were worshiping these gods. So when you watch movies, they're saying, oh, the gods, and that's what he was talking about. Fallen angels were coming down here, doing that thing. They had power, so the people was worshiping the gods. They would always show themselves and stuff, doing miracles and stuff. So the stuff you see in movies isn't fake. That's how it was actually happening. Okay, so like the Clash of the Titans type movies and stuff like that. Methuselah, the woman with the snake hair and stuff, like all that stuff. The women that they took, they ended up giving them powers too. So you'll have a woman that looked like a snake but got snake hair. That's what happened to her for leaving her husband and riding with a fallen angel. Or Lilith, that's what happened to her. She turned into what you call a screeching owl with wings and like hawk feet. She got 3 big toes with claws and she got wings because she left Adam. That was his first wife, but she left him to go do her thing with one of the devils, one of the Satans, and they transformed her into a siren. Beautiful but dangerous in some kind of way. That's what a siren is. And they were always counterparts with the devils, and they the ones caused men nocturnal dreams and stuff. Deuteronomy 23:10 in them. So video about to be up, but really what I got from that, let me read it, the rest of it again. Let me go back and read it again. It said that the fallen will be bound in valleys of the earth for 70 generations. Okay, a generation equals 100 years. So 70 times 100, which is 100 years. 100, 70 Dorim, generations. So 70 times 100, 100 times 70, 3 zeros and 1 7. 7,000. 7,000. Yomim. That's what we get. 7,000 Yomim. They will be bound until the second Sabbath Millennium. The first Sabbath Millennium was when they got bound. The second Sabbath Millennium is when they will, it will happen. Judgment Day. Armageddon type stuff. Messiah will be on the scene already, so we won't have to be tripping for it. We just go on to war. So basically, let's go back. So right here, right now, as of today, they're trying to get the devils out of the ground some kind of way. They're trying to dig under the earth and find them and stuff like that. That's what they're trying to do. So when the Messiah come on the scene and all this, and then Satan will be loose for a short season. How will he be loose? Because the people will try to loose him. Okay, so that's here. But let's go back so we can count it. Big. So pretty much in between the middle, this time 1530, we'll go into that later. It's between 1,000 and 15 is when the Sabbath Millennium, like the flood happened, and that started time all over again. Once the waters descended, we started back at 1 again, 1 year, which is why he got the same commandment that Adam had: be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, symbolizing that this is a recreation here. So basically, bit. All right, so we pretty much in the middle of the 7. Just give it like 74, 7,500, And so from here, we'll count in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is after the 14th. So that means in the middle of the second Sabbath Millennium, as in the middle of the first Sabbath Millennium, when the flood happened with Noah, happened like in 7,500. So in 14,500, which is the second Sabbath, 7,500 again, we're going to have Satan being loosed, or the devils being loosed for a short season, as Revelation said. And that is accurate. He will be said the fallen, as in, say that again, Enoch, Hanak chapter 10 verse 12 said that the fallen will be bound in valleys of the earth for 70 generations, 7,000 years. And that's accurate. Right now, I'll tell you later what year we're in. Actually, I'll tell you now. We're pretty much in between the 13th millennium. Meaning halfway in between the 13th millennium. So we have a millennium left, pretty much, till they come loose. But we have about half a millennium till the Messiah come on the scene. Just about, depending on when he decides to come through. But we know that it's up to him. Depending on how wicked the world gets, he'll come. But that's proof there. 70 generations, 7,000 years, 70 generations. All right, the next one is Gimiel, Matikyahu, 1 and 17. This is when Abraham exists. Okay, and this is Gimiel, little one right here. That's Gimiel. All right, so now when you read, I don't even have to go into that scripture. I can just tell you because it's very brief. So basically, Matikyahu 1:17, since everybody know what the New Testament says, you can go, that's the first book, everybody know that. Verse 17 said, from Abraham to so-and-so was 14 generations, from so-and-so to so-and-so was 14 generations, and from so-and-so to so-and-so was 14 generations. Now, I didn't say names because I want you to get the point that 14 generations occurred 3 times. So 14 generations were quoted 3 times. 14 times 3, or 14 generations times 3 is 42. Dorim, 42 generations. 42 generations times 100, or 42 times 100, gives us 4,200 years. Yomim. Okay. Gimiel. Let's count that from Abraham. Now, Abraham was living during the time of the Noah after the flood. 9 sons later, he learned from Noah and Shem the ways of the Most High. So Noah was alive when Abraham was alive, which was right there next to the flood. So that's where I put this circle here and then put this circle here. But in the second video, I'm going to go through it because I'm about to lose my time. But before that, let me count the time. Okay, 42 generations, pretty much. 1, 2, 3, 4. Give or take, we in here. In the middle. All of these are the same time that the Messiah came on the scene. The Messiah was born in like the 11,500th millennium, in between some give or take some time. That's where he was born. But after the flood, he was born like in, they say 4,000 or 3,998 BC. And then he lived 33 years, between 33 and 37. So you end up in the 4,000th millennium. So with that said, I'm gonna start the second video right here.